Glad to be joined by WWE's Baron Corbin. He's with us right now. You can see him, actually, if you're watching Zone TV, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook Live, or the link via Twitter at JMart Ramon. Baron, how are you this morning?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
Doing pretty well. So before we even jump into a little bit more about your career long-term, 45,000, 50,000 people in Vegas on Saturday at SummerSlam. You're working Big E on the kickoff. It was a good match, I thought. But what was it like just to have that many people back in the seats cheering for World Wrestling Entertainment?
And, I mean, it was awesome. And I think for us and what we were doing, it was the best place to be on that show. We were the first thing the people saw. So their energy level was, I mean, it's crazy when they've been waiting all day, out having a few beers in the parking lot or whatever it is, getting in that building, and, they're ready to get rowdy. So to be out there first in front of them was really special. That's the biggest crowd, in almost 2 years I've been in front of because of everything we've been going through. So it was perfect, in my opinion.
Considering what you're showing on social media, how awesome was Vegas, and what effects did the crowd give you? Because are you still walking around?
I'm still walking around. It's an up and down ride. So definitely enjoy what you see on social, because it's a wild ride for sure. You know how Vegas is if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
1 minute you're hot, 1 minute you're not, and then you're back on top. It's the goal is to get out of there with the money you make. It's hard to do.
So your story is really interesting, Baron, because I mean, you played for a little while in the NFL, and then you were about as raw can get when it comes to pro wrestling when you were in Florida. I remember watching when you popped on the scene with NXT, and it was almost like you were going to be the new Goldberg, where it was about, can you win a match in a minute? Can you win a match in 90 seconds when you hit the end of days? And then, of course, you've evolved into a number of different characters from that. But at what point did pro wrestling seem like, you know what, this is something that I might be okay at?
I mean, always. I think growing up, being from Kansas City, we had such a rich wrestling history, with Harley Race and everything. And my dad was a big fan. So we had it on in the house all the time. We would go to shows at Memorial Hall in Kansas City. So it was always kind of there, always something I wanted to do. And, I gravitated towards those bigger dudes like Bam Bam Bigelow and Boss Man. And it kind of was always in the back of my mind. So when I was done playing football, I knew that was the right path to immediately jump on. And even when we got locked out, when the NFL, we had to lock out, I was looking, I was like, okay, well, if this is a whole year, maybe I can start training some wrestling and, start that transition, because we all know that NFL career comes to an end at some point. So it was just be ready. And it was a fun transition. It was a lot harder than I expected. That's for sure, though.
What was it like when you found out, you're getting the call up? The Baron Corbin character is going to the main roster. Of course, it's had different iterations, and you've done a number of different things with it. They've taken you in a lot of different directions. But what's it like to find out, hey, you know what, your number's been called, Vince wants you on the main stage?
It was awesome because it was in Dallas for WrestleMania. So it was the day before WrestleMania. And it's one of those things I'll never forget because, this is what you're grinding for. It's what you're trying to accomplish, and where you want to be is getting on that main roster. And after we did the takeover in Dallas, Triple H just called me into the room. And I don't think he even looked up from his phone because he likes messing with me. But he was just sending a text message. And he's like, hey, Corbin, I just wanted to let you know that you're going to be in WrestleMania tomorrow in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And you're being called up. And he just walked out of the room, like didn't even give me time to react, because he wanted to go out and tell the locker room. But it was pretty funny how he did it, because he did it like he was just, hey, yeah, we'll meet for coffee on Tuesday. Like it was that kind of conversation. And I think it was all just to mess with my head like he likes to do. But it was awesome. It was a surreal feeling, especially my family was there. And then we had 110,000 people in Dallas for that thing. Not a bad debut, right?
No, it worked out pretty well for you, I'd say.
Yeah.
Baron, as somebody that's played the game also, like, I've always looked at guys like, man, why do you do that? Either go from NFL to MMA, and like I've seen D'Angelo Williams do it. There's been other guys that give it a take. Pac-Man Jones is a guy that's gone from NFL or football to wrestling. Like, did you not have enough as far as like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what did it for you to get you to stick too?
And that was one of my things too. Like coming out of the NFL, I think, I was just a big salty O lineman. I like to run people over, throw people around. Yes. I like the physical demand, the aggression, the physicality of the game. And, I couldn't just give it up and go, oh, I'm going to go sit in an office. Like I would destroy a desk in 2 seconds. Like if I have to send another email, kind of that attitude. So I was like, what can I, and that's when I was looking, I was like WWE. And I thought about fighting too. Cause I used to box Golden Gloves, and then I did some jujitsu. So I was like, maybe that's the path, but I don't know. I think it's just ingrained in my soul. I'm always going to need some sort of physicality and, that abuse to the body. I don't know. It's addicting. Like during the lockout, I picked up mountain biking out of nowhere, and I'm, doing jumps and flying down mountains. Like that's just stupid. I'm 280 pounds. Like I don't need to be going down a mountain on a bike, but I do. Like it's just, I don't know. You need that rush. You need that feeling, and WWE gives you get that physical contact of throwing people around, or you haven't lived unless you swung a chair at somebody. That's for sure.
Putting that on a shirt.
No, yeah, that's a beautiful. Yeah, that should be the next WWE shop shirt right there. That's a beautiful thing. So, your career right now, where do you think you are? Like you've gone from the constable character and guy that was really in charge to doing this kind of situation where you've lost it all and all of this other kind of thing. And a lot of times you've been on the opposite side in terms of being a fan favorite and all this kind of stuff. But you've done so many different things. Where is the Baron Corbin experience at right now in 2021?
I mean, the experience right now is different. What I'm doing right now is so different than everything I've done. And I'm a believer that's like evolve or die. Like I don't want to spend 10 years doing the same thing. So, a lot of this, when I'm getting to evolve from like the lone wolf, when I went to the constable, to the king, to what I'm doing now, like to me, it's this really fun evolution, and it's just a fun ride, because you see a lot of guys don't want to change, or they want to continue the same thing. And the fans, it's hard to keep them invested. We live in such a fast-paced world now where 2 weeks is a long time, where, we used to tell stories over 6 months or a year. And, now the audience can be a little impatient and they want to get where we're going quick. But I think this story we're telling right now, they've really enjoyed the ride, which is different, because normally after 2 or 3 weeks they're like, all right, what are we doing, where are we going? But now they're going, well, I can't wait to see what happens next. Like I think this is a fun story that people have been invested in. So I'd like to say career wise we're somewhere in the middle. I'd be good with being in the middle. We're not too close to the beginning and not too far from the end. Because as ex-athletes, your body does only last so long. I want to get as much out of it as I can, and then see what's next.
That's awesome. I salute you on it. Again, watching you guys do that is just watching guys go to MMA. That's a different animal right there, man. So
it is.
It's been a ride for us, our generation, to watch wrestling the way we did when they were coming up, man. Is it cool crossing paths with some of those guys you've seen growing up and be like, man, I remember watching, I had this shirt. You remember graphic shirts were huge with Stone Cold and that gang. It was phenomenal.
It's very surreal sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll never, ever forget the first time I wrestled Kane, not in the battle royal, but like one-on-one match, and walking out and standing in the ring, and then you see the red lights and the fire, and like you're going, man, I was a kid and watched this dude, and he scared me as a kid. And then, being in the ring with him, and it was funny because in the middle of the match, like I saw this red dripping from his nose, and I was like, oh no, I busted Kane open. I hit him in the nose or something, but it was the paint from under his mask was dripping. So luckily I didn't make Kane bleed, because I was like, dude, he's huge. This could go south real quick if he wants to get mad. So those surreal moments, the MSG, I was there, I worked against Undertaker with the Shield guys, and like that, just being on the outside of the ring, watching an Undertaker entrance at MSG, like it gives you chills, because you grew up with this, and working with those guys and seeing how awesome and how smart they are to everything. My opportunity when I got to work with The Rock for the first SmackDown, like just being in a room with him, you go, I understand why he's one of the greatest superstars of all time. Wow. Just by being in proximity, because he's a guy that you're like, he's just magnetic. You're drawn to him as his whole persona, the way he is and everything he does. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty special.
That's awesome.
Baron Corbin, Raw Bridgestone Arena, October the 4th. We're going to be there. We're certainly looking forward to it. It's just good to catch up with you for a few minutes. Continued luck
definitely.
and continued success with what you're doing. Hopefully, we'll see you on Monday when we get
I
out
know,
there in
right?
October.
I've been the one guy that's been going back and forth all this year.
Yeah.
And I've been over to Raw a few times to fight Drew McIntyre. So maybe somebody will be calling me to come fight him. I mean, I love Nashville and that city and getting rowdy and getting some food out there. So I look forward to maybe showing up.
Well, we appreciate it, brother. All the best to you, man.
Thank you.
Indeed. That's Baron Corbin. He's on Twitter at Baron Corbin WWE. Again, Raw, Bridgestone Arena, October the 4th. We're going to be there. We're going to do something.